Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our little Big Brother podcast. I'm with Meg and Days, possibly fan guy who's having some issues. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good, just waking up.
Well, I guess my first question to you both is this Big Brother All Stars or is this Big Brother Floaters? Because it's starting to seem like the latter to me, Days.
Yeah, I'm starting to question the All-Stars name because some of the folks that I thought were just going to be really good and going out there and, playing the game are not doing so at all. Are they floaters? I don't want to necessarily say that because there is one floater in the house that I do consider an all-star, and I think she's in a pretty good position, that being Danny. But I think it's just a matter of folks not stepping up. They came in here and they're not playing the game at all.
Yeah, Meg.
I think this season is different and it's a little bit tricky because everybody knows each other's games and you do have a lot of like hard hitters in here. And I think everybody's just kind of waiting for that one person to really set it off before they'll feel comfortable also, starting to play real hard. I think they're all scared to be the first strong player to make some sort of move and have a target put on them immediately after by everybody else in the house. It's also really, really early. So I think we're really trying to figure out where they're at and who they can really trust and what a good move for them is going to be. And it's like Enzo said in the veto, it's just too soon. It's too soon to pull somebody off the block. It's too soon to make big waves. I think people are really just trying to feel it out.
Yeah, I see it as a lot of just everybody really trying to be under the radar. Just everybody's laying low, and I hope that stops soon. To be honest, because it was a rough week, in my opinion, of feeds. But the second episode, however, was great because of two certain people. So I want to turn it over to Meg on your thoughts on the second episode and the safety suite.
First of all, Janelle walking in that room and taking off her sweater was the fucking the most badass thing I've ever seen. I love her. I don't really understand why they both chose to play, especially when they both swiped their cards so late.
I have the answer.
Okay.
Apparently there was a time limit. So
right, and I know that, but Kaysar finished in what, like 6 or 7 minutes?
Yeah.
I feel like with two people who were strong competitors, I just feel like they maybe would have had more confidence going into like a timed, especially if they're the only one doing it. There's not a lot of pressure if you're the only one, actually doing the challenge. So, I get it because they didn't want to be too risky. But at the same time, now they're stuck without, now Janelle doesn't have a safety suite. She could have, hindsight's 2020, but she could have kept hers and used it later and saved Kaysar and given them another free week off the block.
Well, it's luckily they both used it because then we got the double dose of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And I've been singing that all freaking week long, unfortunately, but
yeah, it was quite the remix.
Yeah, I enjoyed the remix. I enjoyed that whole episode. I thought they came off across very good. Devon had some good stuff, even though we'll get to her later in the feeds because she annoyed me. And who else? There was somebody else in the episode I liked, but I can't think at this point.
I literally have so many shows running through my head that I have to review.
I watched episode 2 and 3 like back to back, so they kind of run together in my brain.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have to talk about, we talked about it already last week, but the nominations were Keisha and Kevin. Days, how do you think they were on the block? Because Keisha did not do a whole lot of anything.
I was disappointed in both of them. As apparently them being all stars, they just did not live up to the title. Keisha, even before she was nominated, wasn't really building any connections. She didn't do herself any better after she was nominated. Kevin, I don't know what's changed in the 10 years since he's played, but yeah, he's not a Big Brother player anymore. I don't know
He's a
what's going.
mess.
He's a
Yeah,
mess.
just I don't see that same fiery attitude that he had in his original season.
Oh, his conversation with Cody in the storage room was just like cringeworthy.
All of his conversations are cringeworthy.
Oh my,
horrible.
It's like insecurity or something.
why go to, I just feel like his choice of people to talk to was odd. Why go to Enzo?
Yeah. Like why? There were
Why
so many
not
other
go to
people he could
Nicole
have chose.
A? Like I know they talked later, but like why not go to Nicole A? I think Ian was an alright choice for him, but Christmas, I mean literally anybody, but Enzo was just an odd choice for somebody to choose to ask to save you. I guess.
Why didn't he choose the two people that were safe? Either Janelle or Kaser. That
True.
are the old heads that were potentially nominees.
Well, he
So,
seems to have some paranoia where those two are concerned or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I do
But then
I
he
do
just
like
walked
the
around and
edit.
moped the whole time.
I do like the edit how they showed him asking the same question over and over. I don't want to put you in a bad place. I don't want to put you in a bad place. It really irked me on a game level. Just like change up the conversation because it's going to get back around that you use the same pitch to every single person.
I watched
Fan
it
guy, what
with
were
my
your
mom. Even my mom was laughing at Kevin doing that to Enzo. Like it was. I'm happy to be here with y'all now.
So Keisha is the one voted out by 13-0. Your thoughts on that?
You have to go unanimous with that first vote. I mean,
Yeah.
the first couple votes are usually typically a unanimous vote unless it's like something big's going on, but you have to.
It's interesting to me because if this was season 6 or season 7, Janelle and Kaser would have not voted with the house. But there's such a huge target in All Stars that they have to vote with the house.
I mean, if you don't have the numbers, why put yourself in a position where you're showing, oh, I wanted you out, even though I know 100% that you're not leaving?
Yeah, I agree too.
Draw back lines.
I
don't think everybody wants their cards this early, and when you do stuff, pretty much showing your cards.
Exactly.
Make it a unanimous vote.
Now, I'd rather talk about the last few days than the whole week, but if you guys have anything else that we want to talk about in these episodes, please let me know now, because I thought the week was pretty flat.
I struggled to follow this week. Like so much was happening in the house, and I think that's just a matter of this is the week that we don't typically get to see, with the exception of BB Over the Top. So just for me personally, I struggled to figure out what the hell was going on. So I'm glad the week's over with. I didn't think it was necessarily flat, just complicated with everybody trying to get in with one another.
I mean, we can go over some of these supposed alliances, I guess. I have some of them written down.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah, I know. I guess we'll start with the alleged old schoolers alliance of Janelle, Kaser, and now Memphis. How do you think this alliance is going, Meg?
Nope. Next.
It's not an alliance.
I know, because of Memphis.
They shot down rankings, if that tells you how I think that alliance.
We then have the alliance that Memphis put together with Cody, Tyler, Danny, Nicole F, and Christmas. Seems to be kind of the main alliance only because Memphis won HOH. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I don't feel bad about that alliance. And I think at this point, you do need to have a larger alliance just to help you gain numbers in the beginning of the game. So, I mean, I think that they're going about it maybe the right way. And I think Memphis was right to bring together people that are different and that, wouldn't be looked at as an alliance.
Yeah, the unusual suspects. There's no way they're going to get the usual suspects across the directors of the show because of copyrights. But I do like the alliance in general, but everybody in that alliance already has their separate deals made. So I'm not sure that it's actually going to stick together. I can see the subgroups of it going further.
But don't you have to have some sort of subgroup? I feel like you have to come into a game like Big Brother with your like ride or die. The one person is going to have your back. And then from there, you each make separate little alliances here and there, and you get the numbers first until they dwindle down. And then you can concentrate more on your subgroup. Everybody's got a place on the totem pole.
I do agree with that, but they're struggling as that group of 6. They're struggling to keep their words straight with who's in the alliance when they're talking with one another. They're struggling right now. I can't put it into words, but they're getting names of their sub alliances mixed up when they're talking to the main alliance, and it's causing a bit of confusion. And somebody's going to slip up eventually, and I think that's going to be the crack in the alliance that just makes it fall apart.
Yeah. Well, they can't have a big alliance and also be stupid.
Well, there's 3 people in that alliance that are in another alliance with Enzo, that being Enzo, Cody, Danny, and Nicole F. But then also Cody and Enzo have an alliance, the Connect or whatever it's called, Connect 4, I don't know, with Davon and Bailey.
So Cody and Enzo are that team. I like it. First off, Enzo's doing really good, and their alliance name is The Root, which I initially, because they're both Jersey boys, I thought it was The Roux.
I did too.
When you're making a sauce, that's the base.
I
wish
thought it was
that's
like
the way to.
Crew, but without the C.
But I like what they're doing. I especially like them teaming up with Bailey and Devon, Black Girl Magic. I like that. I don't know how I feel about them with Danny and Raquel. That's a dangerous pair to team up with, given their history of backstabbing people. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I feel like Enzo is definitely getting along better with Bailey and Davon. I don't know about Cody. I think Cody's just closer to Nicole in general. And those 2 also have an alliance with Tyler, I guess, with the whole guys thing.
Who doesn't have an alliance with Tyler?
I mean, I guess that's true.
Tyler just came in saying he didn't want to do what he did his last season, and he's literally playing the same exact game.
I love that edit.
Yeah, that was good.
Although, like, buy one, get one free here, and $5 off over here, get your deals. Yeah, that's Tyler in a nutshell.
Well, I guess let's talk about Memphis winning HOH. What are your thoughts on him being HOH now?
Does anyone else game?
Oh, go ahead.
Does anyone else think it did more harm to Memphis's game than good that he's HOH? He actually is the only person I could think of that wins HOH, and he goes down on my power rankings because I feel like he's just put his foot in his mouth and done such a terrible job of being HOH. So it's interesting.
I don't know. Memphis went up for me this week. I feel like, didn't he? What did I rate him last time?
Yeah, you rated him pretty high this week, I think, Meg.
Yeah.
I gave him 1.5 points higher, and I think if he can do better in his HOH than Cody did, because I think Cody just fucked his HOH all up by not talking to people. I think Memphis would do a better job of that. And he's already kind of caught on to how the safety suite works, so he's not going to, well, have they already played the safety suite?
Yes.
Who won that?
Christmas, and she saved Ian. So
wow,
interesting.
I was under the impression that because the way, have we talked about who's nominated this week yet?
We haven't, but
No.
we'll bring it up, being the 2 players from last season.
The reason Memphis went down on my power rankings is because apparently the way he nominated David not taken well, and by a lot of the house. And I think on just a base level, it's gonna piss a lot of people off at Memphis. So
Yeah,
Can you
Tyler
expand on that?
especially is pissed off at Memphis, it seems.
Yeah.
What happened? Did he
He
say
basically
something?
said, like, take your seat at the table, boy, because you don't deserve to be in the All-Star season. But, like, is he wrong?
No, he's not. David's not in any alliances. He hasn't really built the
He's in
connection.
alliance with Tyler. That's why Tyler's so pissed off.
But
Right.
David's not an All-Star. He never even played the game.
he has to know
I
that.
agree.
on some level.
And I will
He's
say, I
an
think
easy vote for
David played it up. Last season in his interviews with Ika, he talked about how he could cry on the spot. And he definitely cried on the spot with Christmas yesterday to play with her. So I did enjoy that from David.
So it is interesting, though, that he didn't put up Janelle and Kaser. So maybe that relationship is still there.
Well,
he
I think
trying
it's too soon for him to just decide that he's going to go against them. If he has this alliance with them, I mean, he's going to need to use that as far as he can in some ways, but it's too soon for him to turn his back on them. He just aligned with them.
How
But
did
the
Cody
rest of
take
his
that?
alliance are
He
pushing
nominated-
for that.
He nominated the 2 people with the least connections in the house because he wants to be tied in with both sides, basically. So he's like, oh, who has the least friends? Nicole A, David. I'm just easy way out.
Do you think he'll be able to stick to his guns, though? Because today, Danny was pushing very hard for them to try and backdoor Janelle, because Janelle went up there talking shit about Nicole F. So Danny's pushing that hard. Now she's talking to Nicole F about it, Cody about it. Do you think they'll all try and do that if somebody wins the veto on their side? Or just David or Nicole A win it?
I think it'd be a mistake for Memphis to backdoor them.
But if his whole alliance is trying to tell him that, what exactly can he do?
I mean, it depends on where he wants to be in the game, who he really wants to play with.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those instances where the HOH needs to win the veto. They can get more information and ultimately just not use it and keep their noms the same.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to do that. I don't know if he will do that.
Did he succeed in getting multiple people to play the safety suite? Because I think that was his plan, to get as many people in there so that he could be one of the few playing for it next week.
Yep.
Well, that's why he put up in Nicole A, or his reasoning for putting her up is because she refused to play.
That's not a bad reason.
I mean, it's the smallest thing can cause a target on your back in these games. It's the smallest things.
Right, but like, don't you think he's kind of playing a little, like, okay, on the one hand, we're talking about people not playing very hard, and on the other hand, like, do you think Memphis is like, I mean, you're trying to have too much control right now.
I don't know if he's playing too hard. He's just very, what's the word?
Let's cut him some slack. He's never won an HOH before. So this is his first time at control.
Well, he's definitely not listening to anybody except himself, so that's his plan so far. Let's go over our new power rankings, because there's some major changes from last week, to say the least.
Did you expect anything else from the three of us?
We're going to start with the bottom 5. We have Christmas up, Ian up, Nicole A down a whole lot, 9, David down 11 spots, Kevin down 8 spots. Do you think this assessment is better?
Call him how I see him, Nick.
I do definitely agree with these big drops for Nicole, David, and Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin's a mess. Nicole's a mess, which I want to talk about. You guys were all on this Nicole train last week, and I'm like, who is this girl? I'm not impressed. And somehow I am even less impressed with her this week than I was last week.
I've never been super on the Nicole A train. Not as much as Days.
She's so likable.
She is likable, but like to win Big Brother,
I mean,
plus she
she's,
like made this like final 2 deal with Kevin, and like where do you think that's gonna get you?
she did that last year too. She made an alliance with everybody that was voted or sent out to the camp comeback.
Well, I just want to know if this means there's now 2 rat coals in the house because she's over here trying to bury Janelle and Kaser while Janelle's fighting for her with Memphis. So is there 2 rat coals in the house, Days?
I mean, if I ever have kids, I won't be naming them Nicole, if that tells you anything. But yeah, I don't know where Nicole Anthony stands. I think at one point she thought there was the entire house was in an alliance, so I don't know where her head is at. But just her in general, I still think she'll get far. She's the ultimate GOAT. But in order for her to win, it's going to have to be against Ian or Nicole F, I think now. So,
You think Nicole Anthony is the ultimate GOAT?
well, not like GOAT as in the greatest of all time. I mean the GOAT that you drag along to the end so that you can beat them.
Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I agree with that assessment. She is. She's likable, but not threatening in comps. She's just the perfect person to drag along.
What about David and his following 11 spots? We had him pretty high last week, way too high at number 3. He has dropped down to 14. He's on the block with Nicole.
Is he even in the same house? Is he doing anything? Where is he?
I mean, I feel like you guys are saying Nicole is going to get far. I feel like if this stays the same, she's going to get voted out.
I
Where
have
did I
no
put her?
comment.
I gave her a 4. I don't think she's gonna get far.
I think I gave her less than that.
You all definitely gave her low grades. That's why she's low.
I gave her a 2 and I gave David a 1. So that tells you where they stand on my ladder at this point.
They actually weren't the lowest 2 on my list. I believe I had Kevin below both of them because I just think Kevin has I call him Kevin No Chance. So, but other than that, they're my next 2.
We all gave Kevin a 2.
I gave him a 3.
So.
I feel bad going below 3.
I don't.
Yeah, I guess that was your lowest score were 3s. So Christmas won the safety suite. Is she moved up 2 spots? Is she in a better place than we thought she could be?
Yeah, she's building connections. I'm still waiting for the fallout when she ultimately loses her cool, but she's getting in good with pretty much everybody. I think it will come down to how big of a threat everybody sees her as far as competitions go, but socially she's doing pretty well. She's doing better than just sticking to Paul. So that's an improvement in her game.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have a lot she couldn't do to improve. I mean, it's an easy way for her to improve with the no game she played before.
You know, she is getting in close with Nicole F and Danny. But I really wanted to see her side over there with the old heads and roll with them because I think she would be right on par with their gameplay. But I think she's playing it safe by going with the more popular people in the house than the targets.
Yeah, I agree, and she definitely is another one who wants Janelle out soon.
Her choice of Ian for safety was interesting, and I think
agree.
It might make her look like a little bit more of a strategic player to the rest of the house if they really think about her reasoning for that. So I definitely think that's something to look out for. People might actually think Christmas is a little bit more of a player because of her choice of Ian.
You said that she's kind of beefing with Nicole F. Is that correct?
No, she's like getting along with her. She's getting close with her.
Then the choice of Ian makes sense to me because the Million Club with Ian and Nicole F.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's what
I would say that's Nicole's doing.
it makes perfect sense. I think it's a really good move by Christmas, and it just I don't know how if the rest of the house is looking into it that deep, but if they are, then they might respect Christmas's game a little bit more, and she might go up on their threat radar because they're like, oh, Christmas is actually playing the game.
Yeah, and like Enzo's kind of already on to Ian and sees him as a threat, especially with seeing his relationship with Nicole F. So there might have been concern that there would have been a backdoor for Ian going on.
Yeah.
What's with that name, by the way? The Million Club. I mean, neither of them won $1 million. Are they just combining
But
their
I think they're
500?
together they have
combining
$1
it,
million.
Yeah.
They should be called the
1 + 1 is
500,000 Club.
2.
Yeah, it's after taxes, definitely lower than that.
There,
Okay, we'll go to the middle five. We had Enjo and Bailey tied at 10 last time. They're now tied at 7. They've both gone up 3. Kaser has dropped down 5. Memphis up 6 after winning HOHs. And Danny is up 6 because we had her low. I still think she should be low personally. But let's start with Kaser, who has dropped 5 spots. Why do you think that happened?
Probably because Meg dropped them from a 8 or 9 down to like a 4 or 5, maybe.
I didn't go that low. I still love him. What did I give him?
6.
I gave him a 6.
I did too.
I dropped Janelle too, I think a little bit, but I think they are in a tough spot. I think they are being targeted, and I think that's why I put Kaser down there, dropped him down. I don't know. They didn't perform up to where I thought they would in the HOH competition.
Yeah, I only dropped them a half a point, both of them down to a 6 from a 6.5. And that's because they do have this really huge target on them, so I can't put them any higher. But they're not on the block in the second week, and they didn't have the safety suite to save them. So yes, they are a big target, but at least both of them aren't on the block together. So I don't know where that's going to go, but at this point they're safe. So
I mean, I concur. As far as I mean, looking at these, I think that's a pretty good middle crew. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but Kaser, yeah, I gave him a 5, I believe, because him and Janelle just both seem to be pretty huge targets, and more importantly, in my opinion, they're on the wrong side of the house when it comes to numbers. Like they just are. It seems like the other side of the house, I personally call the pregame alliance side, because
I
I feel
agree.
I feel like that's the side that had a ton of pregame alliances. So it's really just a ton of duos that are banding together, but they all have multiple duos with, So,
thanks,
and
Derek.
yeah, and Janelle, and even though I do think Janelle had a bunch of pregame alliances too, I just feel like her and Kaser, they're just on the wrong side of the numbers, and it's to rank them high.
Their game
Yeah.
can go either way at this point.
Yeah, their game. I mean, Kaser's brilliant, but
They have to get some
brilliance won't
power.
get you out of
So.
some pickle.
Yeah. Oh, I'm waiting for it because I think you just know Janelle and power and how that goes, and I want to see it so much. I want to see her screaming from the top floor at everybody who she's putting up and who's going home, and I hope she does that.
I don't think she will this season, though. I think she's playing a different game.
Yeah. She's
I agree.
matured
So
a bit.
Danny went up.
But I'd love to see it. Sorry.
Do you guys think Danny should have went up as much as she did?
That's my fault.
Mine too.
I had her at a 1 last week, and I have her at a 6 this week. And it is because she's really gotten in good with everybody. She's making good alliances with folks, building those relationships. But I still can't put her too high because she's flip-floppy, and she's already showing she's doing what she did in her what was it, season 13, kind of backstabbing people that she built relationships with. So she's got to stop that.
She's also being super pushy all the time with people. Her and Memphis are not going to get along much longer, I don't think.
Yeah, I put her at a 5. I can't remember where I had her last time, but I feel like she's in a decent place in the house though still. So we'll see what she does in the coming week.
She has a lot of connections on both sides. And I think personally, I gave her maybe a 6 or a 7. I think I raised her quite a bit because she actually has an in, I think, with both sides of the house right now. So I think she's going to be safe for a little while and going to be able to kind of skate by. Because she's not going to backstab somebody like Days was talking about. I don't think she's going to do that till she has to. But I do think she has so many connections in the house that time for her is going to come sooner than later.
I think in general, Danny is a no bullshit type of player. Like she just tells it how it is. But she has to learn to keep that under wraps sometimes because I think it's going to get her in trouble eventually.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, we've grouped Bailey and Enzo tied 2 times in a row. They've gone up. What are your thoughts on Enzo right now, Dave? You said you were liking him earlier.
I do like him. The dude is probably the most well-liked person in that house, and for good reason. He just gets along with everybody, and you can't help but like him. I mean, that whole slow-mo in the video with him riding the banana, like you have to love Enzo. I love him, and he's good with everybody. I moved him up. I think what one? No, I moved him up 2 spots. The issue right now is that he still doesn't have his parachute. He doesn't have his kind of ride or die, and that's the same mistake he made when he was in the brigade. He had nobody to help him out, and ultimately that's why he didn't have the protection down at the end of the game. So I can't put him too high, but I like his position in the house. He's gonna go far, but he's got to have somebody to help him out at the end.
Meg, your thoughts on Enzo?
I think I dropped Enzo. I gave him a 4
Yeah, you did.
this time. And a reason being is the whole thing with him kind of peeking in on Nicole F and Ian in the bathroom and then running up and telling Cody, like, I just feel like you're a little too paranoid right now, and that's going to get you in trouble.
I don't know if it's paranoia or he's just like dying to make a big move already. That's what I get from him. Because even when he won the veto, he wanted to backdoor again.
Some people cannot help themselves. It's in their nature to want to just make waves as fast as possible, and he might just have that in him on just some like sick sadistic sort of level where you thrive on that.
Right, and it's entertaining, and I think waves need to be made, but yeah. 3 episodes in or however long you've been there and you're already running and telling, I mean, I guess they're all kind of doing that to an extent, but they really focused on that in the episode with Enzo. So
I'd like to see him build that relationship with Bailey and Devon. I think if he needs a parachute, those 2 girls, they get along great with him. I think that's the route he needs to take, getting in close with them.
I think that Devon could handle Enzo. I'm not sure if Bailey could.
Well, speaking of Bailey, she's the other one that went up. I do still think she's playing a pretty great social game. She's had to do some cleaning up for Devon a little bit already, though, which I don't like. But Meg, what are your thoughts on Bailey?
I mean, I really don't have any thoughts on Bailey right now. My thoughts on Bailey are the same as they were last week. Like, I still think that she has a pretty good shot, and I still think that she just needs to keep playing the way that she is. I gave her a 6 this time.
Dazed.
I bumped her up. I had her at a 5 last week. I wrote down 6, scribbled it out, and gave her a 7. I think her social game's on point. I think she has better connections than she did her last time playing, where she was tied mostly to one side of the house. Just keep that hot-headedness under control. I don't know what she's cleaning up for Devon, but I like where she's at. She can get far. I don't know if she can win the game, but she's doing good. I like it.
Banger.
So I actually think I went the other way with her. I have her, I think, a good bit lower than Devon because personally, I feel like Bailey For me, yeah, like it feels to me like Dave's gonna dominate that duo in a lot of ways, and so I felt like I had to rank her lower than Davon. I think as a pair, their success is gonna hinge a lot on how close they can get to like Paulie and Enzo, or picking another strong duo to play with. They can go a lot of ways. They can go with Kaser and Janelle. I mean, but I think they're
You
going to
mean
need.
Cody and Enzo?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. I don't know if that's what I said. But
You said
Cody and
Polly.
Enzo, or Kaser and Janelle. Yeah, sorry. Um, they're going to gravitate to one of those two groups for sure. I have Bailey lower than Davon just because the spoilers I was reading were that actually said I've read a few that Bailey was actually already kind of having some mini breakdowns and stuff, and I think as soon as that crack starts even to form, if there's even a sliver of truth to that, a lot of times people are going to pounce on that.
She has pretty bad anxiety, I think. After seeing her on the challenge, that kind of broke her being in that bunker. So,
And they don't go in the backyard yet, right? They're still stuck in the house.
no, they've made it out there.
Oh, they have? I haven't seen them out there at all.
Yeah, they were definitely out there one night. I don't know how many nights they were able to be out there though.
But I don't think Bailey's in a bad spot. It's just I don't think I think Davon's in a better spot than Bailey for sure. That dude.
I think Davon has better pre-game alliances than Bailey, but Bailey's trying to spread out. She's really the only person really trying to work with Janelle and Kaser, but she's able to spread out her game this time. Like Day said, she's not grouped on one side at least. She's definitely spreading out her game. Last up is Memphis. Is he only up because he's the HOH?
Yeah, I mean, I think Memphis is playing a pretty decent game. I like what do they call them? The commission. I like the idea of Cody and Memphis, and I think if they can stay solid together, they'll go pretty far.
Does he have any other connections? Like I'm only showing him in the unusual suspects. Does he have any ties with everybody else, or is it just that 6-person alliance?
I mean, it's just the alleged old schoolers as well.
Yeah, so he's got Janelle and Kaser, and then he's got the unusual suspects, and then he's got the commission.
He's got a lot of pots for.
I bumped him up. I bumped him up 1.5 points. And I mean, I think mainly because he won the HOH. I do want to give props to the editing, because how they squeezed in some storyline of him and Cody without him knowing he was going to be the HOH. I think that was luck of the draw. But I think he's in a good spot. Just play this HOH better than what you're doing.
I mean, I don't think his nominations were bad. I think his delivery was a little not great, but
yeah, and he has Danny now, who's trying to be a thorn in his side. I don't know how that's going to go.
I heard his delivery was beyond bad. Like I said, I can't wait to see it or whatever, but I heard his delivery was really bad.
Oh, absolutely. But I think his nominations were spot on for where they should be in the second week.
He's playing it super safe. It's the right way to play this game early, for sure.
I want to see if by next week he's kind of in the spot that Bailey's in, where she's built those connections across the house. I think that's kind of his plan, but you don't think so, Nick?
I think this HOH is going to do it, man. I really do, because when I was reading and watching some of the feeds earlier, there was just a lot of negativity in that big alliance talking about Memphis and his HOH run, thanks to Danny and Nicole F.
They're jealous. They're just jealous because they're not HOH. That's all it is.
Well, here is our top 5. We have a tie for number 4. Somehow Janelle has gone up 1 spot. Davon down 2 spots. Nicole F and Tyler both up 6 spots. Cody stays at number 1.
Wow.
We might as well start with Cody. Is he still in the best spot because of these pregame alliances, Fan Guy?
I think so. I mean, I see Days saying no, Meg saying yes. I'm going to side with Meg on this one and say yes, he is, because I think he came into this game following his brother's blueprint, and he had a lot of pregame connections. They're all still working together. And nobody's really nobody's talking about Cody as a big target, even though he's technically arguably the biggest target. That alone tells me he's super dangerous and is definitely.
Yeah, maybe.
He's a sweet guy. Cody's just a nice guy. And I think that he's in a good spot. I think his HOH went fine. Daze seems to think that he fucked it up by not talking to a lot of people. Could he have talked to more people? Yes, but I still think that it went off without a hitch. You know, there wasn't anything that put a big target on him in that aspect, I don't think. And I think with the commissions that he has, or commission, whatever they call them, yeah, the commission with Memphis, and with Memphis now being in the HOH for the second week, I mean, I think Cody's in the best spot of the house.
I dropped him 2 spots. I just did not like how his HOH panned out. I thought he could have had a lot better conversations with folks with the power that he had. I don't think he utilized it the way that he should have, especially dropping Kaser and Janelle's names like he did and ultimately not being able to put them up. I do think forming the commission with Memphis did help him, and the root with Enzo. So he's not in a bad spot. The only reason I dropped him is because I don't think he's playing as well as he could be. And that's going to bite him in the ass down the road eventually.
What about Tyler Dazed?
I dropped Tyler from a 5 to a 4 because he's following his same strategy as his last season, which is just agree to have a final 2 with everybody. You don't have to agree to have a final 2. Just say, yeah, I want to work with you. I've never been big on Tyler, and I'm still not big on Tyler. So yeah, I don't see him winning. I'm not on his team.
Meg.
I gave Tyler a 6. I mean, I like Tyler. I think it worked for him the first time, and if people are dumb enough to let him work, let it work again, then
okay,
even better.
that's true.
Congratulations, All-Star. You know, I mean, hey, you played an All-Star game before that. I actually agree with both of you because I think there's a line, right? Like Tyler shouldn't say specific numbers. Like if you tell somebody in a game like that a specific number, like I want to work to you to this final number, if you don't hold the word means nothing. And now, you know, so Goody's making the one-on-one bonds with people, but actually making final 2s with people is if too much of that gets out, he's done. But I like him a lot. I think he's in a great spot because it hasn't.
I think Tyler's in a very interesting spot right now in that he doesn't want to work with Memphis, but he's stuck with him, and he's good with him this week because Memphis is the HOH. I feel like Tyler could really take his game into his own hands this week after the veto, because Tyler's game is when he has the group he wants to work with, and I don't think he's in a group he wants to work with yet. That's what the feeling I get from him.
I'll say this. I have a feeling that he's going to try to take the position that Cody's in. I feel like Cody's kind of running the alliance, and if he can, kind of move Cody to the back burner and possibly Memphis too, and work his way in there, he'll have a better shot.
Now, all of our favorites, Nicole F has moved up to tied for second. Fanga, you gave her a pretty high rating. What are your thoughts on Nicole F?
I mean, I think she's dangerous for the same reason Cody is. I hate to say it, but you come in with that many pregame alliances, even if it's hypocritical because you done called everybody else out for it, but clearly have at least 3 or 4 of your own. That kind of stuff gets you far. If you she's in a volatile spot. I think about my power rankings is I actually am basing it on who I think their chances to win, and not necessarily their chance of where they currently stand in the house necessarily. Because I think Nicole F for me has the highest floor and ceiling, but also it's boom or bust with her. Like she's either has a really good chance to win or it's all going to kick her in the butt, and it's going to fall apart probably sooner than later. They're already talking.
It's because she does a lot, Meg. Would you agree she does a lot?
She does do a lot. She has a lot of conversations with a lot of different people. But I do think that she's in a decent spot right now because I think people trust her, which I don't know why they do.
Dazed.
I moved her down just so I could stick her right in the middle of the pack. I think that joining with Ian in the 500,000s club was the right move.
It's the million club.
I do think that she has to get to the end of the game with Ian in order to win. And just on a game level, I think Nicole might be she's really good. Okay. I think I said it last week. She uses every tool she has in the bag to get herself further. Although it annoys me with her whining and how she goes about it, she's still a good game player. So I think she's in a good position. She could be doing better, but I'll stick her in the middle. Let's see what she can do with all this.
Next up, Davon, who you had rated pretty high, Dazed, but she did drop 2 spots.
I left her the same. I left her at an 8. I'm high on Devon. I like her as a person. I love watching her on the TV, and I think she needs to build some more relationships. The Connect Four is not going to get her very far, especially with Enzo and Cody having all these other people in an alliance. So they've got to build some more relationships. But I like her. I want to see her win this time.
Davon's not going to win.
She
No, I
might.
don't think so
You don't
either.
know.
Meg and I are the ones that dropped her. Meg, why did you drop her?
I dropped her because she's not playing. I don't think that she's doing what she needs to do. I mean, Dave said it. She's not making relationships with people. I don't think that this whole Connect Four thing is going to pan out for very long. And I think that she really needs to go. And I really honestly, I would like to see her and Danny do more together.
I think they can at some point, but that depends a lot on Danny and not Davon.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like she needs to try.
Yeah, I agree. Fan guy?
No, that's her best bet. Her best bet, even though it makes a great bet, is to try to roll with Danny. So, like I said, I think if they can salvage or if they can somehow go higher up on Cody and Enzo's priority list, if they can find a way to work their way up Cody and Enzo's totem pole somehow, I think that's another play they have, but I think it's less likely. So yeah, I think I love Davon. I mean, like I said, I think of her duo, I think she'll outlast Bailey. But I don't think she is making new connections. I think she's sticking to a lot of the connections she's already had, and she's not really branching out. And I think that's the biter.
Is anybody targeting her yet? Is she in anybody's mouth?
Nicole F, but there's a lot of people in Nicole F's mouth.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Lastly is Janelle, who is tied for 4th, moving up 1 spot. Dazed, what are your thoughts on Janelle's game being the huge target that she is?
As with Kaser, I moved her down a 0.5 point to 6. And again, the same with Kaser. I think they're in a good spot. Obviously, they're not on the block as it stands, and that's without them having to play the safety suite. If you truly wanted to get them out, this was the chance to throw both of them up on the block, ensuring that one of them goes home, and nobody took that opportunity. So I still think they are a huge target in the house, but at this point they're safe, and both of them have an opportunity to gain power in the next HOH if they don't end up being backdoored.
I think that is the question this week because there's going to be a push for it if somebody other than Memphis wins the veto. Meg, what are your thoughts on Janelle right now?
I think I dropped her just a little bit. I put her at a 7. So I probably was unrealistic with my scores for her last week, and I fully understand that. I mean, I think Janelle's an early target, but I don't necessarily think she's going to remain the target in the coming weeks. If they don't make a move to get her out now, I think the chance is going to slip by them.
I think that's a
Daniel.
fair. Yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment. I think she's a big target right now. It's hard for me to say who I think is a bigger target between her and Kaser because I think they're both pretty big targets in their own way. But I think Janelle's made better connections with more people, more pregame alliances, and on top of a better social game in the house from where I'm sitting. So I think she's safer than Kaser. So I bumped them both down, and I do think I actually gave them the same rating because I don't like either of their chances, which I think I gave them both like a 5 because
Yeah,
I don't like either of their chances to win simply because I like I said, at this point, they're just on the wrong side of the numbers to me. So until they can show that they can get on the Cody end of things or get the target off of them, I can't give either of them a really good shot to win.
I mean, I give them props for. I mean, they're absolutely trying. Like they're gaming. They just have no power, but they're trying everything they can. They're trying to have the conversations they need to have. I just don't think everybody else in the house, with the exception of Danny, are on that game level as Kaser and Janelle. Now throw
Yeah,
somebody
I
like
agree.
Boogie in there, then Janelle's really in danger of going home. But
Meg, I'll give you the last word on Janelle.
Team Jamie all the way, 100% badass bitch. Let's do it.
Well, I
She
am
really works that gold star too. I mean, who looks that hot in a gold star costume? Come on.
Well, I am unfortunately out of time this week, so I will have to end it here. I will see all of you later. Thank you for joining me. Until next week.
Bye.
Take it easy.
deuces.